Hey, what's up? It's Babs from Middays on Wild 94.1, and I am sitting here with my good friend Darius. What's up, Darius?
Hi, Babs. How are you?
I am doing good. Now, you know what? For a week now, I started my partnership with you guys, the Pinellas County Health Department. And I've been on the radio telling people, like, this conversation that we're about to have, it can be very difficult, and it can be one that, people like to shy away from it. But we have to talk about it because, first of all, let me just ask you, what is your official title at the Pinellas County Health Department?
So, I am the HIV/AIDS program manager at the Florida Department of Health in Pinellas County. I am directly responsible for program operations in terms of the HIV/AIDS program, not only for Pinellas, but for Pasco County as well.
So do you find that these conversations are difficult to have with people too?
Yes, they are. HIV is a topic that people just tend to shy away from. They don't want to talk about it. There's so much stigma surrounding this topic, particularly in some of our most vulnerable communities, the African American community, for example, one of the most vulnerable populations in terms of new cases of HIV, and in many instances, it's very difficult. People fear that conversation for fear of being judged or stigmatized in some way.
Yeah, and you know what? Spring break is coming to an end, and there was a lot of people out here in Pinellas County. I was one of them, going crazy. The cases are on the rise here in Pinellas County, right?
Yes, particularly with our 20 to 29-year-old age group, that is where we're seeing the biggest increase in terms of cases, new cases across our county. We've had an increase this past year. We've had cases in all of our demographics and all of our different age groups, but where we're seeing an increase, as I said, is in that 20 to 29-year-old age group, and then that 30 to 39-year-old age group. But the 20 to 29-year-old age group, they lead in the pack right now.
So, what can be done to prevent the HIV cases from continuing to rise?
So we have an initiative called Ending the HIV Epidemic, or what we commonly term as EHE. Mm-hmm. And this is an initiative that came from the federal government. The goal of this initiative is to reduce new cases of HIV infection by 75%, I think, in 2025, and by 90% in 2030. Here in Pinellas County, we are one of 7 counties here in Florida that have substantial burden of HIV infection cases. And so with that, we were charged to come up with a community plan that centers around 4 key strategies: diagnose, treat, prevent, and respond. So what we want to do with that is we want to, obviously we want to diagnose people with HIV as soon as possible. Treat, we want to get them into care as soon as possible. What I say, treat, diagnose, respond, and I said something else. Prevent. We want to prevent new cases of HIV infection. That obviously we preach and promote condom use and safe sex. We preach and promote use of what we call PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is a pill that a non-HIV positive person can take that is supposed to be used in conjunction with condoms and other safe sex practices to prevent HIV infection. Won't protect you against the STD.
Right. Okay. But let's talk about the PrEP. So would you consider the PrEP to be like a vaccine when it comes to HIV, or how would you?
It's a prevention tool.
So okay.
Yes, and so with PrEP, we really need to have more conversations about prevention. And PrEP is a prevention tool, meaning it's supposed to prevent infection. A person that might be eligible for PrEP may be someone that has a lot of sexual partners, maybe more than one. Mm-hmm. You could have a couple where one person is positive and the other person is not. That's what we call a discordant couple. If you are someone, let's just say you go out to the club that night and you meet somebody, you go home with them. You didn't really ask any questions. They didn't ask you no questions.
Right.
You didn't use protection. You wake up the next morning like, what did I do?
Right.
In this instance, that's what we call it post-exposure, because that's kind of after the fact. But we have a pill regimen for that as well. The main thing is we want to start to stimulate conversations about behavior and choices.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say like I meet someone at the bar, I get exposed to HIV. How soon should I get tested?
I know some people will tell you immediately, but it's if you were exposed to HIV, well, first let me back up. That would be what we would call a post-exposure,
Okay.
meaning after the fact. Now, if it's a post-exposure situation, with what we call we have PrEP, which is pre-exposure, and then we have PEP, which is post-exposure. So with a post-exposure, they could go to the ER, they could go to any licensed physician and get a prescription. It has to be within 72 hours of the exposure, the potential exposure, and you could get a pill. You probably will still have to get tested for HIV probably within 30 days.
Okay.
A little different than pre-exposure. Pre-exposure, to me, it's your normal behavior.
Right.
If it's out of the norm for you to go out and meet somebody and go home with them, then that's more of a post-exposure. But if that's your normal behavior, then that's what we call pre.
Okay. All right. So, do you guys offer free testing at the health department here in Pinellas?
Yes, we offer free testing at all of our health department locations throughout the county, as well as some of our community partners that we work with. Also offer testing such as Metro Inclusive Health, Impact Partners in Care, AIDS Health Foundation, the Bird Cares, Banyan Tree. There's so many places in this county where people can go get tested, and it doesn't cost you anything.